These are our speakers today. I'll give a quick introduction to the webinar and the main themes of the subject. We'll be hearing from Dimitrios Buhalis, professor at Bournemouth University and currently visiting professor at Hong Kong Polytechnic University, followed by Magnus Berglund, who's the former director of accessibility at Scandic hotels in Sweden, Katerina Papamichail, who's a colleague at ENAT, architect and expert in accessibility and universal design, Ignatios Fotiou, who's the CEO of TOBEA, inventor and supplier of Seatrac, which is a well-known product in Greece, which enables people to enter the sea independently, and Sabine Switalla, the CEO of InclusiveGreece. And we've invited as a discussant to give some reflections on what we're talking about here in the subject of accessible and inclusive tourism, the president of Hotel Managers Association in Greece, Mr. George Pelekanakis. And there will be an opportunity for you to write in the chat on Zoom to put questions to the panel. So I will continue moving through here to the next slide, and we will just take a quick look at what were those questions that we put on the program and which hopefully have attracted a good number of people to join us here. First of all, what are the challenges about accessibility and inclusion, and what are the business opportunities around this in Europe, in the world, and also in Greece? We're presenting this session here because we think that Greece needs to do a big catch-up and to get on board with accessibility. So let's take a look at how other countries and regions have tackled these issues and what Greek businesses and destinations can learn, so to move forward faster and better, and in fact, catch up and overtake the rest. Why not? Give it a try. So will Greece actually reap the benefits of the 130 billion euro accessible tourism market, or will the country miss out? We think this is an enormous economic opportunity, and it's good for the quality of tourism in Greece to focus on accessibility. And then how do we prepare for this? So our speakers today will be focusing on these different issues. I'll take you quickly through the slides here, just very briefly about ENAT, which is the European Network for Accessible Tourism, founded after a European funded project in 2008 with an international board of directors. It's a multi-stakeholder network, so we include all kinds of members, but the main focus is on improving accessibility in tourism. So we work very much in a business-to-business kind of way. We don't have customer services for all the many people who are interested in accessibility and inclusion, but we do provide support for those who are trying to improve the product. So let's take a look also at some of the members. This is just a quick flash of some of the members there who we are working with on a regular basis to support them with training, to support them with information. And through running our website, we share a lot of information there. Just to go quickly to the target of our speech today, really our webinar, we're really thinking about everybody. Tourism for all is what we're about. It's not tourism for one or other particular group of people, but everybody needs accessibility in tourism. And there are many different activities that should all be made accessible. Really, we say that inclusive tourism is not special tourism. It's not a particular segment of the tourism market either. It's part of every kind of offer. So from accommodation and adventure, right through to sports events and festivals, all of these should be accessible for everyone. I just show you this general slide that we show many times in this kind of presentation to remind ourselves that the visitor journey should be accessible and inclusive throughout, from the very first point. So we show this circular diagram like a clock starting at 1 o'clock with a travel decision. When people are browsing for websites and they're looking for somewhere to go and things to do, they need to have accessibility information. And they need to have that accessibility information in an accessible format. So the website needs to be accessible as well. That's to enable people with different kinds of disabilities and impairments to read or to hear or to understand the website as fully as everyone else, to take part also through the booking process, to get the information they need and to make the booking, to travel to the destination down at number 3, and then that all the elements in that traveling should be accessible, and at the destination as well, accessibility of all the aspects, the activities, will also determine how satisfied people are with that trip. And then also traveling home is important. You have to help people and support them just as much to travel home as traveling to the destination. And then finally, at number 6, the recollection of the experience. This will determine whether they had a positive or negative view of all the travel chain and all the parts of it that you are responsible for as a service provider. They will repeat and they will tell to their friends and families, and that's where the word of mouth marketing is so important. So keeping that in mind, how many people are actually traveling in Europe, people with access requirements, and what is the value of this market? We're presenting some data here, which is rather old. It says at the bottom of the slide, a European Commission study that we did with the University of Surrey and ENAT and others in 2014. But this information is actually the latest global, let's say European level information that we have on the statistics around the value and the volume of accessible tourism in Europe. It generated 400 billion euros at that time each year, and was expected to grow annually by 1% for the coming years, growing with the aging population in particular. It accounted for 3% of total European gross domestic product and supported 9 million jobs. But we also found that when searching for accessible tourism providers, only 9% of these actually promote themselves as accessible or having accessible services for people who would come to visit. So the market demand was also shown to be rising and could rise even further if appropriate services are put in place. So capitalizing on this market depends on investment, on putting some features in place so that you can reach the market through your website with your services and through having well-trained staff who are able to look after the needs of the people who are traveling. Improved accessibility could then also attract up to 75% for international travelers. So these are all figures and impressions from the studies that were done that were before COVID came along, of course. But it's useful to know that these are background figures which will always be there and actually are increasing. We like to show this slide just to remind ourselves that, of course, as we get older, the prevalence of disabilities rises. So we are concerned with people who have disabilities, impairments, or some kind of restrictions in the way they can move or communicate or enjoy tourism. So as we get older, we're going to see that with the older age group and with the trends in Europe, that 1 in 5 people are already over 60. We know they want to travel and enjoy life, and they take 6 to 7 trips a year. They did at this time. And of course, this has slowed down incredibly, but the pent-up demand, we think, is still there. These are the age group, over 60s or over 50s have half the discretionary income for travel. And they are more active and they want youthful kinds of activities. They take most overseas trips. And of course, they travel around the year. They're free to travel when they like. Just one little fact about people with reduced mobilities, which is that group that is affected by travel difficulties when they're flying. The annual growth in PRM numbers is at least 6 times that of the overall rate of passenger growth at many airports. And it's something like 12% to 16% in many airports. The interesting thing about this market is that people with access requirements travel with 1.9 companions on average. So there's a multiplier effect. They travel more often, they stay longer, they make more repeat visits, and they travel throughout the year. So they're really good customers if you can get hold of them. Now I'm just going to show you quickly, because I've almost run out of time. We got some figures from Great Britain. Figures are very difficult to come by in this market, and that's why we focus rather a lot on the UK figures, because they've done surveys for the past 10 years on the accessible tourism market, and they show it's worth about 15 billion pounds. That's about 17 billion euros a year. This was in 2018. You'll get these slides at the end of the presentation. You'll be able to find them on the ENAT website. So I won't dwell on the details, but they spend more, they stay longer, as we said before. And in the Open Doors organization in the USA, Harris Poll, latest figures from 2020 on research among adults with disabilities on travel and hospitality show that 27 million US travelers with disabilities took 81 million trips and spent 58.7 billion, which was up from 34.6 billion in 2015. So this is in 2020, the results that came through. They are traveling by air and sea and cruises, of course, and there's more detail on some of these slides about their travel habits and how much they are spending. How are they reaching the market? How are they making their bookings? 2/3 are booking online. So it's very important that you have a presence and are reaching this market. So finally, how would you proceed? Well, on the ENAT website, we have a few tips for you through our training section. On online training, we have many projects and good practices to advise you on improving your infrastructure and services. And we also have the Polytechnic website, which, as you all know in Greek, means everywhere, where suppliers of accessible tourism can list their business free of charge and have their own profile page. So those are that's the introduction that I wanted to give you so that we can build back better with accessible tourism, as the saying goes, building back better after COVID and improving not just the accessibility conditions and the transport, but also training your staff that products should be developed for the wider market. And also destinations are important as drivers of this movement towards more accessible tourism for everyone. So we leave no one behind. That's all from me then. Thank you for your attention. And I close the sharing now, and I hope that we have a gentleman, which is Dimitrios Buhalis, waiting in the wings.
Hi, Ivor, I'm here.
You're in. Good. Well done, Dimitrios. So I've stopped sharing now, and please, nice to see you there in Hong Kong.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. Okay. I see also you, Ignatios. Welcome. So Dimitrios, over to you.
Great to see good friends, Sabine, Yorgos, Ignatios after a long time, and Katerina. Sorry for being a little bit. Sorry for being a little bit late. I was in another meeting. Just came out. Ivor, when did we start talking about these things in OSATE? Was it about 20 years ago?
It was 2005, so it's pushing 20. Yes, 2005 yeah. We started the OSATE project. So
it's actually surprising how little has actually moved forward in the last 20 years. And it's almost embarrassing from the tourism industry, how little it has happened. What we've seen in different places around the world is when legislation is coming strong, people are forced to actually develop facilities that they are appropriate for any kind of disability. The other thing that we see is that in the last 20 years, the world population is becoming older, and we see more active aging, where a lot of people are actually traveling when they're getting older as a way to keep fit and a way to move forward. But they need some specific requirements, which quite often we do not provide for them. And I think a lot of people need to wake up, and I'm looking at Yorgos here, who is a good friend, and he's probably in the center of the hospitality industry with the hotel managers. And we need to wake up a lot of people in the industry to actually understand the business potential and the opportunity that this market is bringing, and at the same time to look into small and soft adaptations, the things that we've been discussing with Katerina for years, how you can, with a little bit of common sense and a little bit of budget, you can actually do wonderful things. And I'm very glad with the initiative that Sabine and some of my other friends have started to bring into mainstream accessibility. Now, what you would expect from me is to talk about technology, and technology is becoming even more important. And what we learn over the last few years is, and especially during COVID, is how to digitize everything. We managed to digitize our banking. We managed to digitize our family situations. We managed to digitize social and business meetings, and we digitize a whole range of things. I think what we need to do, especially for this market, is actually provide accurate and realistic information to make people decide whether this trip is for them, and to facilitate this trip in the door-to-door kind of situation. A lot of this information is still really, really bad. Even information, tourism information in mainstream websites like Marriott.com. Go to Marriott.com, have a look at the hotel information about any hotel. All the information is still very hygienic, doesn't give you any kind of sense of character or experience of what you're saying, and effectively it's inventory of facilities. We've got 3 restaurants, we've got 6 tennis courts, and we've got a conference room and 6 different types of rooms. In general, technology has not progressed as much as we like in the main, in most of the tourism organizations, and it leaves a lot to be desired. That's for the mainstream market. When you go into accessibility and providing specific information, it's a disaster. And I'll tell you something, one of the biggest surprises I have in Hong Kong since I came back is how many people own pets, because a lot of people have not started families, and you find a lot of people that own dogs and cats and pets in general. And I was recently in a hotel, and in the hotel it had the pet elevator, and it had 2 floors that they are pet friendly. And they were kind of providing all kinds of services, because they realize that unless you provide for the dog of someone, you cannot have that someone, because there's nowhere to leave the dog behind. And when I was looking at that, I was thinking, oh my God, we've managed to do it for pets in some countries, but we still haven't provided sufficient information about accessibility for people with special needs. And quite often there are other special needs that people are not thinking about, like celiacs with gluten intolerance, or diabetics, or where the dietary requirements are quite different. We still have not looked into the customer in depth to understand what the customer wants and come forward with the right proposition. And yet, in the last 2 years, the tourism industry had catastrophic implications, if you like, globally, where we had a major financial difficulties because of COVID. I think, as you said, Ivor.
I'll give you 1 minute, Dimitrios.
Okay. So I'll conclude by saying, look, what you said is that it's a business opportunity, obviously. It's a social responsibility at the same time. And what's really critical is to provide, from my perspective, and that's what I bring into this game, is to provide accurate information using technology and facilitate the interaction and the engagement with consumers, doing multiple platforms and using different kind of technologies to provide the right information, make people aware of what they'll see in front of them, and create the communication channel. That's the only way that you can serve this market and you can take advantage of this. And I stop here.
Right, thank you very much, Dimitri. And it's a very good reminder or observation that we have a lot of information, but it's not getting to the customers, so they have trouble making the decisions. Okay, we're going to move on now to Magnus Berglund from Sweden, who's formerly the accessibility manager and ambassador at Scandic Hotels. He's now working as freelance, so he's available for lots of consultation. And he brings with him 20 years or more of experience in the hotels and catering sector, hospitality sector, I should say. So over to you, Magnus.
And a very loyal dog, Magnus. Is your loyal dog still carrying your bag?
Yes, we do that. But I'm out more health as well on here. Thank you very much. So today, I'm working for a company that's called Handelscover, and we are a data-driven company that's working with accessibility information. That's the number one focus. And as I said before, I was working for Scandic Hotels. So I'm going to tell you a little about what I did, because I am working in the hotel business for over 25, 30 years, but was 99 while I was sick, and then I understand that when I had a problem to walk, that I didn't know anything how it was to be disabled and going to hotels in the industry. I thought it was much better than it was. But do a story short, 2003 I was starting at Scandic Hotels because I told them that if we start working with this question, we're going to get more guests. The first we did in Scandic Hotel was, when I was working there, was let everyone in the head office, on that time was only 150 people sitting in a wheelchair for 2 hours. So we rent in a few wheelchairs, let everyone do that for 3 months. We started with the CEO. And the big thing was that we don't want people to learn. We understand you don't learn to go wheelchair for 2 hours, but it's a really good way to getting up the discussion. That was exactly what we wanted. We wanted to have a discussion. Just one part of many different disability, it was really good to get out the discussion. The most interesting was that everyone said the same thing. After 3 months, everyone said exactly the same thing. Magnus, I don't learning. It's hard to go with a wheelchair, but give me a week, it's going to work. So if I need to sit in a wheelchair, I'm going to go to, no problem, I can come to my office. I need a few days to learn to go in the elevators and that. I can have a table that's going up and down. I've seen many people that sit in wheelchair drive cars, so I can drive a car to my work. But now the big question, everyone asked, how do I close in the handicap toilet? We had 4 handicap toilets was built at Scandic Hotels in this building. Everyone was following the law, no one could close them. Because in many countries in Europe, the toilet going outside. So when you go in with a wheelchair, it's very hard to reach the hand railing. So you need to put up a railing under the door that costing 25 euro. There were things we didn't know about. The big thing was when I was going out and asking, when I was speaking, also asking everyone that had been in a handicap toilet, please put up your hand. And everyone put up your hand. Then asking everyone that was seeing that something was wrong, that if I was sitting in a wheelchair, that I couldn't reach maybe the toilet paper, or the soap was too high up, or the mirror was too high up, please put up your hand. About 10% put up your hand. Then asking, okay, everyone that put up, and how many of you was going directly to the reception in this airport or in this hotel and told that something was wrong so they could fix it? Normally no one. But if I ask in this 100 people and ask them, if I break the lamp outside the reception when they come into the hotel, how many of you are going to go in directly to the reception and tell the lamp is broken? Everyone do that. So we didn't think about that. We understand that people don't think about things like that. That's one of the things we understand. So, okay, we understand in our hotel, we need some sort of standard that we can go around in the hotel. Another thing we noticed that we're always joking that people in wheelchair don't drink coffee in Sweden, only drink tea. Because in every office, in every hotel, the tea was down there at the buffet so you can reach it from the wheelchair. But reach a cup of coffee, you can never do that because it's always too high up. Okay, so now I understand we need the training, the people that work in the restaurant to put down the cup of coffee. And the second is that we understand that if we now are building handicap rooms or disabled rooms in our hotel, doesn't matter how beautiful we are building them, because if we don't training the people that are cleaning the room, that they need put down the shower so I can reach the shower from if I sit in a wheelchair, it doesn't matter how much we put the money and do that thing if we didn't education. So the thing we understand the first was we need to education all our team members. So we education every team member about disability questions. Not so much about what's thought to disability, much more what can I do today? What can I do today to change my way so it will be easier for people that maybe sit in a wheelchair or maybe is blind or deaf or so on. So we had one goal that we don't have any disabled people in our hotel. We're having guests in our hotel that may be having a disability. So that's directly, it's a different way to working. So we was going out and asking people that maybe was blind or deaf, what can I do for you? Why should you choose our hotel? What can I do so we are going to be the best hotel? So that was what we did, directly asking thousands of people on that. Then we was doing dedication of that. We had our own standard and things like that. And then we understand that many times we focus very much about wheelchair. I can take one example that I was going around in 25 hotels in Sweden and asking people so fast. I was seeing people that have break the leg, they're going with crutches. So going forward and ask them, when you check into the hotel, did anyone ask you if you need a chair to sit in the shower? And they said, no, never happened. Then they said, oh, do you have that? That would be great. But if the person had sitting in a wheelchair, we directly are asking, do you need a chair to sit in the shower? So we don't think about all the things. We always thinking, so we need to take this up. We start to need to understand how big business. If this big business, yeah, that Ivor told before, this is huge. We did a test in Scandic, yes, so we know that we're going the right way. 2005, we was checking, we're not allowed to asking every person if you have a disability when you check in, but we could check in from conference. So we was knowing that after we did education for 55 hotel, 1 year later, we had sold 15,000 more room nights on conference and meetings. So that we could see indirectly that we did the right thing. So this is a huge market and we need to work much, much more. And the next step is not only thinking about people in wheelchairs, thinking about everything from people don't hear so well or don't see so well or older people. I can take one really good example. I was education for many years ago, bus companies. And they come back to me and said, Magnus, we got more guests just because of your ideas. Oh, what was that? I told them that when they're having this bus tours, just put on 4 chairs so we can get together. So when you're stopping somewhere, you can take out the chairs so people can sit, because many of the people that go bus is older people. So now they only have people that are choosing just that bus tour, just because they have these 4 chairs. 1 chair costs them less than 10 euro. So it's an easy way to get in if we're starting to see and asking what is the guest want. And I think that's I could speak about this for hours, but really starting to see not disabled people seeing guests, and the guests maybe don't hear so well, maybe don't see so well, and like me have a problem with my hands and so on. That's the real the big thing. So what we did, so my suggestion is you need to having education. That's so important, and you need to do it for all the team members. You need to have included it. Then you need to have a standard. In Scandic, we did our own standard, so that's working for that total change. So you could having different. There's lots of different standards out there. So you get about. It's very important that you have something that's working for you. Then it's anything like that. And when you're coming back to the late thing, information, put up things on your website. Tell what you're having. And that's it. And with all the technical, you need to go in next step. And I think on airports today, sometimes I need assistance service. I don't need assistance service if it's less than 300 meters. But if I go to book on my airport, I need to book assistance service. And then they're coming, and then it's just 10 meters to the next plane. I don't need that. So they send it, it costs them lots of money. So could we just put in the app that's saying when you're checking in, I only need assistance service if it's more than 300 or 400 meters. Then it's going to be much, much better for the airport. So it's many things we can do with the new technical. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Magnus. And as you say, it's all about getting into the detail and seeing how in any business where you can do some cost cutting, cost savings, and making more effective use of the people and the service that you have. I was also reminded from your examples where I heard one of these before, that you told us before that when you're doing training in Scandic, which is a very large hotel chain, a lot of the learnings were coming directly from the staff.
Yeah.
They were seeing from their personal experience, from their home and family, but also on the job. You learn quite a lot on the job, and if that doesn't get passed on to others, it's of no use. It really is very important that people should have these groups that they work together, and accessibility is on the weekly meeting. So it's part of everything you do.
And you need to see groups. I can take an example in Finland. 35% in Finland is born with the gene for lactose intolerance. So then you know that. Then if you have people from Finland, you should have more lactose products. So it's much, you can see different things in different countries. And I think that's very important too. Yeah, more older people in some countries, then you need focus on that when you have them down coming to Greece and things like that. So you need to see that, then you can get in so much more business in Greece. I mean, should be no problem.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we'll move on now to next speaker, which is Katerina. And Katerina Papamichail, she's an architect and has worked on these accessibility issues. She was working back in the 90s to develop the Greek accessibility guidelines with colleagues here in Greece and at the Paralympic Games in 2004. And she's now working with ENAT as a researcher. And let's hear from you, Katerina, on this subject of what the businesses can do to improve on accessibility and inclusion.
Thank you, Ivor. I will share my screen. Is that all right? Can you see?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So I will focus first on some key questions for this presentation. How do we mean? What do we mean by accessibility and inclusion? What is the universal design approach and why it is important for accessibility? Do we really know our customers? Who are the customers, in fact? And how does accessibility information benefit customers and your business? Let's start from a big misconception. Accessibility only concerns people with disabilities, which is quite wrong. People with disabilities, they've shown the way, they've raised their issues, but it is about all of us. I think this was highlighted from the previous speakers as well. Accessibility concerns everyone's comfort and safety, in fact, and it applies to all visitors with obvious or hidden impairments, and also issues that can eventually arise on a holiday trip or in the rest of one's life. For example, it could be a broken leg, and ensures inclusion and full participation for everyone in tourism experiences. The key to achieving accessibility for all is to understand and follow a universal design approach. And what is the universal design? According to this definition is the design of products and environments and services to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. The intent of the universal design concept, of course, is, as you can see later as well, is to simplify life for everyone. And the concept targets all people of all ages, sizes, and abilities. What do we mean? I think the previous speakers also highlighted who are the users. So it's not only people with disabilities, but there are also the seniors who might have many kind of problems and impairments with the age progressing, mothers with pushchairs, tall and very short people, in fact, all of us. The universal design is based on 7 principles: equitable use, flexibility in use, simple and intuitive use. You can see the example of a small girl, easy to understand and operate this simply designed tap, perceptible information, tolerance for error, low physical effort. Another example, you can see a girl with a broken leg. There is a door, automatic door, but by pushing the button and with level access, no physical effort, she can enter very easily. And the seventh, size and space for approach and use. I would like to give you some examples of universal design, focusing mostly from examples from hotels, so you can see what we mean by this. Let's see the showers, the two examples, shower tray or rolling shower. Why not to have a solution which is suitable for everyone with a rolling shower that is more comfortable, safe for people with disabilities, for children, for older people, for people with temporary injuries. And again, the towels. Why to put the towels high up and not to foresee to have a lower space that everybody can reach? Short, people with disabilities. Again, rooms with space to move around. This room, you can see accessibility, when properly implemented, can be invisible. It's suitable for everyone. And another example of the two heights for clothes rails in the cupboards for everyone to use. Short people, people with disabilities, everyone else. Another example, space for everybody and places aesthetically pleasing. You can't see the accessibility, but it's really there. Another example, buffet counter, difficult or easy to reach? Obviously, the second solutions with counters that are lower and they can be easily reached by children, by people with disabilities, it's a better solution. And it's just obvious why it is better. And another one, table with central leg. We all know that it's much better for women sitting in the corners, for people with wheelchairs to proceed and use the table. So as I said again, accessibility can be invisible. But if we know how to do it, it's easy. So I will go back to what Dimitrios said before. After all, to be usable by all people is nothing else but common sense. But we know that common sense is not that common. And also why we don't follow the UD approach, since it's so useful, so obvious, so nice. Because of course, there's lack of awareness. There's lack of training, lack of knowledge and skills, as Magnus pointed out very, very intensively. Lack of experience and a big misunderstanding. It's only for a segment of a group of people, but it is about all of us. Accessibility in tourism businesses is not only a matter of compliance with laws and regulations. It should be something that it goes beyond legislation because it contributes to the overall quality of the offer. And we will see why. As we say, a journey starts with a first step. First is to take the right decision to be accessible. Second, the training of managers and staff. And we understood why it's so important. Third, assessment and access plan. You have to assess your business. You have to know what you have. And fourth, provision of information to the customer and marketing of your services. The first barrier for customers with access requirements, in fact, is lack of information. I will keep repeating this. They ask, where can I go? Will it be suitable for me? Because everybody is different. All people, they don't have exactly the same requirements. Will they understand my needs? Without answers to these questions, your business will lose these customers. And of course, we lose all the people that they travel with them. It is important to know the accessibility of your premises. And making an assessment of the accessibility conditions of your business is very important because this will give you insight into what customers need. It will help you identify gaps in your services and plan improvements step by step for a better customer service. That's another important thing. And it will help you realize the accessible services you already have and perhaps you don't know. Because this could be a menu, this could be an accessible restaurant, this could be any other thing that you can offer in the hotel and not everything. So keep in mind.
We cannot hear you, Mrs. Katerina.
Katerina, you are muted.
Is that okay now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry about this. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay,
Just go back one slide if you can,
yes.
and then we're almost there, I think.
Okay, so publishing detailed and reliable accessibility information. That's a very important thing. You have the information, you can get the information, you can assess your business, but then you have to communicate this to your customers, because this will build trust between the business and the customer, allows the customer to make informed choices. They want to know what is suitable for them. And it provides customers with an assured level of service. And I want to highlight the quote of Nikos Vilgaropoulos, who was the founder of Anapiria Dora, Disability Now, a person with severe disability, who said, "Show me what there is, so I can make up my own mind, and if I can come and know how to be prepared, if I want to come, and I know how to be prepared to face any barriers there might be." Because informing also about barriers, about what is not accessible in your business, this is also a very useful information for your customers. Just a minute, please. Then, if you have the accessibility information, you can use it not only to inform your customers because they want this information, but you can market your business like this. You can provide accessibility guides that they are marketing tools for your business, or you can join a platform like Pandu, as Ivor said, and meet other suppliers and put your information there. Finishing this presentation, making accessibility part of your brand. It is why it is so useful, why it is so important. Improves the quality of your offer and the customer experience. It contributes to sustainability because solutions that are good for everyone do not need changes, and then you don't waste effort, money, human resources, time. It increases your competitiveness. It attracts a wider range of customers throughout the year with more repeat visits. And it raises the profile and reputation of your business. In other words, why to be accessible? Because you do the right thing, because you want to be seen to do the right thing, because it is the right business reason. Thank you very much for your attention, and maybe we can discuss a little bit later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Katerina. And thanks to many of you who have put some information in the chat, which is very relevant to this discussion as well, about getting information and how to find even self-assessment checklists and that sort of thing. We'll come back to these questions and these suggestions later. So we'll move quickly on, and now it's the time for Ignatios Fotiou to tell us about his experience of working with accessibility and what it means for the businesses in Greece. Thank you, Ignatios. Do you want to share your screen?
Thank you, Ivor. Thank you all. Let me share my screen. hope that you have the right.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
You can go up to the top there, and in the display you can show full screen, I think.
Okay, I'm using a second screen, so this is the reason. This. I'll fix it in a minute. Here, okay.
Yeah, try
Thank you, everybody.
That's it. Lovely.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Hello to everyone. I would like to present Seatrac. But first of all, I would like to share with you a beautiful screen. This picture was something that caught my mind since we started. It's a beautiful beach. It's a beach in Greece. And like you and me, most people around the world, when we're speaking about Greece, we think about the sea, sand, and beautiful experiences. Experience that everyone can enjoy, but not everyone. There are people who are facing difficulties, people with disabilities, the greatest minority in the world. Back in 2009, I met Magnus. Magnus, he's a wheelchair user, a very active and vibrant person. And in that very first meeting, he told me that he was seeking for a solution for going into the sea without any help. He needs something, a solution, device, a process to go to the sea without being carried in the hands, like normally happened. Back to the office, I was thinking that I will search in Google and find a potential solution, adjust one to our local beach and help our community. It was surprising that there was not such a solution. And that moment I realized that everyone was facing mobility issues, wheelchair users, people with MS, the elderly have to be carried in the world. And as Professor Buhalis said before, very little happened the last years, the last 20 years for accessibility. And I think I can say that that was the starting point for Seatrac. Seatrac is a device that offers autonomous access for people with disability, for mobility issues. People who can go to the sea in their wheelchair, using their wheelchair, they can use Seatrac in order to go to the sea. This is a very easy process. First of all, we need information. They can locate their favorite beach and Seatrac through our website, .gr, visit the beach, go near to the Seatrac chair, pull themselves into the Seatrac chair using the remote control, waiting for the ride, and finally they are into the sea. Magnus and many other Seatrackers have their own remote control around their neck or their pocket in order to have completely autonomous access. When we start this journey, the most difficult issue was to convince people with mobility issues that can go out and find a reliable, accessible equipment to use it on their own. We saw the accessibility gaps. We talked with people with mobility issues and tried to solve the problem and meet their needs. This communication still drives our next goals. TOBEA is working on a holistic, accessible solution that users seek in order to satisfy their needs. We're starting by providing the right information in an easy way using our platforms like Seatrac.gr and also live view from the beach, not that easily can have the information that they need for their destination. After visiting the destination, they can find the right parking space, an accessible changing room, a spot in the shadow in order to rest, with the right walkways, and of course Seatrac, which is the last mile in order to go to the sea without any help. Seatrac.gr provide all this information for each accessible beach. Information about the amenities and, of course, as we said, the live view from the beach. Everyone can check the beach anytime before visiting the beach. And this is a hub not only for people with disabilities, but everyone can use our platform in order to choose which is the beach that they would like to visit. Sea trackers can choose to have their own free remote control and also free notifications via SMS or email about the status of their favorite sea track. We have more than, last year, we had more than 1,000 new users and subscribers, and about the 10% of this group was from abroad. We have seen the social impact. We have seen the smiles. People keep telling us about how these accessible beaches change their lives, and this matter. The last 2 years, we have seen something new. We see people, visitors from around the world, coming back and using Seatrac as a reference point in order to choose their destination. We have been part of many stories, like Kiki, who was in contact with us in order to arrange her holidays and visit with her family, Greece, and now she became an advocate of Seatrac and Greek accessible beaches. That was a great story, and I would like to stay here because Kiki started communicating with us in March. He asked us for information about the Tilos Island, which is a tiny island in Greece. And around September, her and her son was there and enjoyed inclusive holidays. And that was, I think, the best story from last year. Last year, we had installed more than exactly 159 Seatracs, which is a big step. I hope that Professor Buhalis could be proud for us, because in Greece we have 159 accessible beaches and more than 30,006 uses about our devices. And our studies reveal that a Seatrac user swims 10 times more after starting using Seatrac than before, which is a huge impact. I'm Ignatios Fotiou, and on behalf of TOBEA team, I'd like to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ignatios. I think you have an exceptional example here from Greece that I hope the whole world will soon find out about. And thanks to you for sharing also the data, the statistics, and the care that you take for the personal, the identification of people is also covered by your cameras there using artificial intelligence, not to show the individuals concerned. That's a very good step. I know also you have the Wi-Fi on the beach. You could take care of the parking. Even cafes and restaurants nearby, they are learning that they need to be accessible because there'll be people coming who need their services as well. So it's like, if I can say it, it's like throwing a stone into the water. The rings go further and further out from these beaches to make the whole destination more accessible. And I think that's a key message for your example there with 159 beaches. Then we can be sure that the message about accessibility is flowing out into those local communities as well, which is so important. So thanks for that. Let's hear from Sabine, and then we'll get into the discussions straight away afterwards with Yorgos, with some reflections on your presentation. So Sabine, who's CEO of InclusiveGreece and working on the certification of accessibility, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good evening, good afternoon to everybody. I would like to share my screen. Okay. Yes. Okay. It doesn't want. Just a second. share. Now. Okay. Now. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ivor, and thank you to all the speakers and participants, especially Professor Buhalis for staying up late with us, and great honor having you and all the other speakers with us today at our first webinar for InclusiveGreece as a co-organizer of the webinar today. I have to say it is a big success to be able to offer this valuable information that were contributed by all the speakers up to now. And I think we are very happy that what is happening right now, we're contributing one thing. We are definitely creating awareness of the importance, not only from the perspective of business possibility, but the awareness of this market in any aspect that we have mentioned. Before closing this first webinar, I would like to present a specific tool that has been in use since 2011 and answer the question how to become accessible and what are the steps towards inclusion that we can do. Well, as we have heard in the previous presentation, one of the main barriers in tourism, in accessible tourism, as we all have heard, is the lack of information. A traveler who is searching for holiday will need exact information before making a travel decision. He or she cannot compromise with alternatives. In the winter 2019-2020, as we all had a lot of time, we did a survey. It was conducted by InclusiveGreece, and we have sent out 500 questionnaires to hotels in different locations and in different category, asking basic questions, asking about accessibility information. Which accessibility information do you have? We can categorize the information, the answers we have we got basically in two categories. One category was, we do have rooms for wheelchairs. And the second category was, we don't have rooms for wheelchairs. But also Ivor has mentioned that only 8% of persons actually need wheelchairs. What about the 92%? It shows us that only proactive provision of very detailed information can approach this market, and that is the first step to start with. Tourist for All, the certification is an international certification and labeling system. After ENAT already 2005, as we hear before, started first steps. Tourist for All was initiated in 2011 in Germany. The great thing, it was a cooperation between the affected groups, participants from affected groups, as well as tourist industry stakeholder, worked side by side to develop this system. It was financed by the German Economic Ministry, and today it is managed by DSFT. It is a very German term. It is nothing more than or less than a German tourism academy that does the management for this certification. In the moment, there are close to 4,000 certificate or certified services and property around Germany, around Austria, and around Switzerland. Also, the big tour operators has approached the certification and are using the certification to label their own branded hotels. So it happened recently in Spain. It is happening around Turkey. InclusiveGreece has brought the certification since 2021, Greece. What is special about this cooperation between the tourist industry and affected groups? That extremely detailed quality criteria has been prepared. And the criteria that are prepared from the perspective of a customer. What does a customer need? We don't look at the moment at the property, at the service, but how is the customer experience at your facility, with your facility or with your services? This in technical way, it looks in the way it was structured in the way that it is prepared for 7 different affected groups of persons. So looking shortly at the process of certification, the focus is to certify services and facilities along the whole value chain. So a seamless experience can be created for the customers. The certification process consists basically of 4 steps, but we have 2 main parts. We have 2 main steps. With the first line, of course, it is the collection of details of the facility of the service. It is not a self-assessment, but a trained assessor collects the detail with a special IT system, which is used for this certification. But for me personally, and we have heard about it, are the soft skills, and a big part of the certification process is a training. The training is developed at different levels. So depending the touch point employee has with the customer, trainings are offered at level of management, sales, marketing, but of course also for the service employees at the restaurant or at the reception. After the submission of all the information, after the training is done, the certification is submitted and the certification is being evaluated in Berlin. So the outcome of certification is, of course, internationally communicated at different international channels. Shortly, let's look at the benefits of certification, which we would like to point out. The main benefits of the certification, first of all, it is a ready statement that can be used as a tool, as a sales tool. It is very detailed and it is for different groups of users. Allows targeted and qualified approach to the market because you have detailed information for different users. It grows potential for this season prolongation, provides the international exposure of the information via digital channels worldwide. The labeling information are used by tour operators, and of course, they are well known by the end users. It delivers competitive advantage and contributes to the quality of your product, of your service. Please remember one thing, we do not take the responsibility for making travel decisions, but we do take responsibility of the provision of reliable, detailed, and verified information to the customer. And the certification is a way to do that. And last but not least, I would consider the distance which is between the results of the certification and the criteria of the certification. The space between, whatever is in between, is the inspiration, and it delivers detail for innovation and for more inclusion that can be used. I have brought 2 examples which I would quickly like to show. One is how hotel uses the results of a certification to include it in the page, in the homepage. The certification is, as you can see, provided ready just to add additional information on your page with a certificate below. So in this case, you can see exactly for which target groups this facility is suitable, and all the details can be found under the certain groups. And the second slide shows us that what was mentioned before, we want to create a seamless experience for the customer along the value chain, not just accessibility in the hotels, not just accessibility on transportation, but as a great example here, of course, accessible beach and of course shopping experiences, and it continues. It might be restaurant, it might be activities, it might be guides which are trained for accessibility. So it is endless list of providers that should look at it and that should really spend time on looking how and what can be done to become more accessible. Thank you very much. And of course, we are available for to answer questions and provide information.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sabine. And you've given a very clear explanation of what added value you can bring to any tourism facility through identifying what you have and certifying that it is reaching a standard that is suitable for all people with different access requirements. I think we should go quickly now to our last speaker. So if you can just close the screen, we come back to the panelists and we will invite Yorgos Pelekanakis, who is the president of the Hotel Managers Association in Greece, to come with some reflections on what you've heard today and perhaps some of your personal experience as well in this area. Thank you, Yorgo.
First of all, thank you very much for your invitation. It's my pleasure to take part in this panel. It's really very, very important to discuss about the disability access in hotels, especially for the Greek hotels. You know, first of all, we have in Greece to learn, do not park where are the parking areas for the accessibility people. That's the most important. We start from A. We go from A to Z, but we have to start from the A. We discuss in Greece about environmental policy. We discuss about recycling. You know, so this is now the last most. Everybody wants to have this certification from Blue Flag. Everybody wants to have the certification for the Green Key. Everybody, but at the end, if you ask them, yes, okay, you have the certification, but you have to do this and this and this and this. Yeah, then that starts the problems. You know, so everybody wants to have it, but nobody wants to do something for that. And that is the problem in Greece. And so it's the same exactly that about the hotels, because the Greek law is very clear. All the hotels, they must have rooms for accessibilities. All the hotels. And you must have maybe one. It depends how many rooms the hotel has, and maximum 5. If the hotel has more than 200 rooms, 250 rooms, we must have minimum at least 5 rooms. This is okay, but there is a small window, as we say, for the Greek law in Greece. That means if I write in my website, if I write I don't accept people with accessibility, so I don't have. So that means this mandatory law does not exist anymore. This is the most important. So then we go, there is another example. There is in Athens, there is an association from the blind people. So the Greek law again is mandatory for all the hotels, the restaurants. We must have all the menus, all the bar list. We must have all these papers for the hotels. We must have it for blind people, for Braille language. And there is really very kind people, this association, they make really for very, very huge money. You pay only 50 euros and they can translate everything in this language. Who has it? No one. No one. I mean, if we go now to Greek hotels, the only one, what is accessible for the blind people are only the elevators. Because only the elevators, they have the buttons for these people. All the others does not exist. You cannot find anything. And it's really, even if you have parking for the cars for these people, maybe the employers, maybe the other clients, but we never found it free. That's a big problem. You know, there are a lot of problems. So I see really all the solutions what Mrs. Papamichail presents is really the best. This is really a nice solution. Everything. This is if you have this kind of people, you must have it. But the problem is, who has this? No one. And do you know why? Because we have in Greece the Greek hoteliers. They want to have the normal people. What mean normal people? They have always the people for holidays, so they don't care. So it's the same if they are in the sun, you know, and if you ask to do something like for these people, say, let me in my peace, you know. And it is really, we have to move them. They have to do something. There are some people, they do it. And they do it, not the big hotels. Normal, they do it mostly the very small hotels. They do it, maybe the apartments, they do it the more villas. They do it much more for these people than the big hotels. The big hotels, if they do something, they do only the ramps. But to tell you the truth, they don't do it for the accessibility people. They do it for the families, for the cars, for the baby purchase. So they say this is also for the accessibility people. And the most important also is that when we say, as Mrs. Sabine says, that only 8% are the people only with wheelchairs. The 92% are people, they don't need wheelchairs. But in our opinion, when we discuss in the Greek hotels, accessibility is only with wheelchair. You know, this is our mentality is like that. When you discuss in the hotel with the managers, with the hoteliers, and you say, do you have something for these people? They discuss no, because they think only for the wheelchairs, and this is the big problem.
Let me bring in Katerina, who's got her hand raised there, because she wants to respond to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, we all know the situation, right? But this is what we say, that in fact, what is missing is really training and awareness.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
All this misunderstanding is because people don't know.
Exactly.
And maybe in the hotels, there are so many other accessibility. There is accessibility offered, and the owners, they don't know themselves. Yes. Because it's not only for wheelchair users. Of course, we want to do everything for everyone. And as I said before, every business can take it slowly. If they take the decision, if they understand the potential, if they understand the great benefit, then if they go into it, they will start doing gradually.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you, really.
Yes. So for us, it's important that we start today this. And I want to say something else. It's not only the businesses, but also is the state. The state understands accessibility as a social issue. And that's a big, big mistake. Accessibility in tourism, in businesses, is business opportunity. All the people with impairments and with access requirements, they have the same money as everybody else. And it's nice money, they want to spend it, and they want to be treated as customers, that they have specific requirements. All the customers are the same. They don't need mercy, they don't need to be good to them, they want to be served nicely. And this is what we have to understand. And this is what we try to communicate. That is a business opportunity, is good business, is very good customer service. So this is what we try to say today, and this is what we try to highlight for businesses to understand there's a big opportunity to come to open their ears. Ota eviko, as we say, no politicians, no businesses are really listening, to understand, and then we'll take it from there. But that's what is missing, understanding.
Yeah, that means training. I agree with you, training, certificate, of course, certificate, and promote.
I will say something else before the certification, because if you think, certification is very good and is, I will say, the last step. Before that, if we think certification is making some rules, you have to follow these rules to be certified. I mean, some conditions, sorry. So all the businesses are not ready, and we know that. Before the certification, the previous step is to assess and learn what you have. And through this assessment is a training procedure for the business. And you understand what you're missing, what you can do, how you can go forward. And then the certification comes. So before that, it's just open your ears, try to learn and learn what you offer, what you have, and what you could do more. And then, of course, certification will come.
But the problem also in Greece is another point, that a lot of hotels they are building end of the 70s, in the 80s. They are really very old hotels. That means the constructions are very old. So it's very difficult now to change, to do things where they are really
Yes.
for, there's
Can
a
I
big
come in?
problem.
Ivor?
Yes, excuse me.
Please, Magnus, yes.
Yes, so it's so good to hear and everything, and exactly what you said here, that you have old hotels. That was the same when I was starting with this for Scandic hotels, that people don't think in wheelchair, but you have groups of people that is deaf and blind and so on. So we can say, yes, because a hotel is not perfect, maybe for people in wheelchair, could be perfect for people that don't hear so well and things like that. So, and the most important is to having, I would never have done this job I did on Scandic, and we was the prize best hotel chain in the world on this question. That was because I know the hotel business, and then I have learned about this business. So we need more people that are working in the hotel chains and airports. But I need to come back because I was seeing, before you were speaking here, I was seeing all these wonderful things about all the beaches in Greece that were done. So I can tell you now how you easily can make more money and make more guests. Because on the same time, when I was seeing all this picture about all these wonderful beaches in Greece for disabled people, I was going into the Greece website that the government owned, Visit Greece. And I can't find anything about that. They have nothing about that. That's the same with Visit Sweden. They don't have anything about that. But so you don't have any information, put up all the picture and you can get lots of more. They have done that in Spain. You have so many people that promote walk, they go to the beaches in Spain, and you have the same in Greece. So you're already having lots of good things that you do in Greece about disability. Start selling that, start speaking about what you're having, and then go into the next step. Because you have so many good things in Greece. So my suggestion is education. Yes, that's what I'm working with, but to looking, what can we do now? How can we make more business tomorrow? And I can promise you in Greece, you can do that already. And you have many hotels that's good, and some is not good, but you need to find what is good for that person, for that people. And you need to remember, big congress and conference today. If it's not working for one person in wheelchair, I can't decide where all conference of 400 people is going to come. And that's really important.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, Magnus. Great. Sabine, you also raised a hand.
One comment from our side, going around the hotels, visiting hotels, I can only encourage the hotel business in Greece. There is already more than you think exists. There's no need to tear down walls. Don't think. Sometimes it is accessibility sign for parking that costs 50 cents a jumbo. And you reach already a great level of accessibility with small things. So don't be afraid of accessibility. Accessibility does not mean spending millions. And the second part, we just pointed out before, go and train people, train your sales team, how to sell it. Because there are no information, you will not find offers that are accessible on real-time booking system, simply because the information are missing. You will sell a presidential suite for a lot of money, only it is one existing in the hotel, but the 5 accessible rooms, I doubt you're gonna find it on booking systems because the informations are not there, or people don't know how to provide the information. And I think you have a great choice of experts in front of you, whoever you like the most, skip the one you like the less. Contact us, and I think everybody will be happy to share the experiences. And there are international experiences here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabine. Yeah.
If you check the Greek websites from the hotels, really it's very difficult to find. You show us, if I remember, it was a Franz Tagung's hotel in Germany. Yeah? You show us, yes, the Franz hotel. You see, they have a special label for accessibility. It's really, just check, because we know a lot of Greek websites. It's really very difficult to find a hotel in Greece with special information for accessibility. It's very difficult. That is, let's say, training, certification, and promote. They don't promote. Mrs. Papamichail says, yes, we have, yes, but we don't promote. Even if we have, we don't promote with the right way. You know, that is a problem. We don't promote with the right way that the people they know. Mr. Magnus says it's nice photos. But who see this photos? Where I can find it? Nice pictures. Mrs. Fotiou makes a great job. But Mr. Magnus don't know that we have it in Greece. That's a problem. You know, we don't promote with the right way. That is the
Okay,
problem.
Yorgos, the bucket stops here.
Mr.
Because
you know me, you know.
I know you, and you are not going to escape from me. You
Yeah,
know
you
that,
know,
right?
I don't-
Because
Ignatios,
look,
so we also want to hear from you. Thank you.
just wait for a minute.
Yeah.
And now I got George. I'm gonna put him on the spot because normally we kind of talk about these things among ourselves. Now, Yorgos, we need a meeting where the Hotel Managers Association is going to call,
yeah,
where we are going to provide some, for free, we're going to provide some basic training to explain to people some of the things that we have said, and also to take real problems and real issues that people and real questions people have got.
yeah.
We will not advertise it externally. It will only be for your people. And you know why I'm saying that. It shouldn't be politically correct. It should be straight to the point, helping people understand what are the issues and help people develop what they can in order to actually take things forward. Because otherwise, this group will be meeting very often and will invite you from time to time and some nice people
Yeah.
to kind of have a conversation. So this is the ball on your court now, and I know how influential you are in tourism and the hotel managers in particular in the field, and these are the guys that we need to talk to. We can do it in Greek or we can do it in English, whatever is needed. And we need to have a serious conversation now.
Okay.
And we need to have a serious conversation with hotel managers and hotel owners to take the conversation forward.
Okay, just find the date and I can organize it. No problem.
You tell us a day that
Okay.
fits you and we'll kind of accommodate you. I'm talking about on behalf of everybody else, but I know how colleagues operate, right?
Okay, no problem. Very
Thank you.
It will be great.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Yorgo.
I'll join you from Hong Kong.
Sure.
Make sure it's morning in Greece, right? So I need to sleep sometime.
Greetings from Crete. I'm in Crete now, Mr. Dimitri.
I've been impressed as well with we've had over 30 attendees at this first meeting, and I think it's been very useful. I've also seen some of you by name. I can see you've been with us around this issue for some of you for 20 years. Others have websites, they have information, even from Australia, Ryan there, talking to us about experiences down there. We've got a great host of people around this subject. We're going to put the video here onto YouTube. I couldn't manage to broadcast it live, but it will be on the European Network for Accessible Tourism ENAT channel. And I'll send the message around to all of you and put it on the website of ENAT where you found the program.
But before closing,
Well, yeah, we have more time. We have still more 5 minutes. I just wanted to round that off there. So go ahead, Ignatios. Yeah.
Professor Buhalis, if you have another free seat for this training, I would like to join it. And I would like to add that during summer, we have a phone call center for people with disabilities asking about the questions of Seatrac or beaches. I don't have statistics, but I can assume that the half of the questions that we're getting is about not Seatrac, not beaches, but accessible hotels, accessible restaurants, how I can go there. So our team, let's say as a part-time job, is to guide people with disabilities about their vacation. They need the information. We make the platform, we see the response. We have a huge response from people with disabilities asking questions about everything. You can try it. You can find that if you provide the right information with not a special way, but the normal way, there is for the people is there for using it.
Ignatios, here is another challenge for you, because there is this group. I don't remember if it's your group or someone else that is actually referring about the system, and obviously it has got a lot of people with disabilities, mainly wheelchair users, that they would like to go along, and I love how responsive they are and how quickly they tell you when the system does not work because someone has vandalized it. I keep an eye on it, and it's fantastic how the community is actually taking care of it rather than waiting for the mayor or something. But here is another challenge for you. Apart from what Yorgos is going to do, I would like to ask you to organize an event for the community, for this community. So where we are collecting the feedback from all the disabled people that they are coming back to the community, and then we'll get some of the hoteliers that George is going to have to hear firsthand. And ENAT, I'm volunteering Ivor here, my hero, because Ivor is always my hero. And ENAT is going to be the brokerage, because what's happening is that hoteliers and hotel managers on the one side, they're saying their things, and disabled people in the market and the community are saying something else. And something that a lot of people haven't realized is that disabled people do not normally travel on their own. One disabled people equals 4 customers, as an average, because they travel with a lot of other people, family and friends.
Right.
So let's organize one with the hoteliers and one with actually the disabled people themselves, and so we can open that community. What do you think, Ivor?
Yeah, I think, well, you're coming to the my points as well at the end of the presentations here. I've been listening, and I've been observing, I've been following the chat, and I think the time is right now in Greece, with new initiatives from the government and so on, to try to get people together around this issue. But people talk best together in the groups they belong to. So we have to start with that, as you say, to inform and to educate amongst the business people, but also to inform and to work with all the different disability organizations, to talk with them as well and see how we can build up an ecosystem, a culture around accessibility that is missing at the moment. And I think we have to come back to Katerina's words, that this is good for business and good for Greece. And it's good for, of course, all the visitors who can take advantage of accessible services, accessible infrastructure. So we've really only touched the tip of the iceberg today with a few examples and a bit of data, but really there's still a long way to go. But as Katerina said, you know, a journey starts with the first step. So I hope we can continue this journey and make it in English, but also in Greek, where I have other people to help with that. So we will move forward as together. I pointed out in the chat here that if you have an accessible tourism venue in Greece or anywhere else in the world, you can put it on pantou.org for free. And this is a good starting point also for all those 159 Seatracs to add the restaurants, add the cafes, add all the other services, the hotels that are in the neighborhood. So I'd like to thank all of you for being present. We should close now at 5:30 in Greece. And as I said, I'll put this information on the website, and let's go forward with the planning of the next events. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yorgo, and thank you all the speakers.
Thank you, Ivor. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Dimitri.
Thank you, everybody.
Dimitri, καλό βράδυ.
Καλό βράδυ, καλή νύχτα, good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Magnus. Thank you.
Bye.